Welcome back, everyone. In the last video, we hosted our website on Netlify. But what we noticed is that if we navigate into deeper routes than our base route, when we refresh, what we see is that we get this page not found. So in order for us to fix this, I need to explain to you why this problem is happening, and it has to do with web servers. So to begin, let's imagine that you are on your left side, a user. This user is on a browser and trying to access your website. Here I'm using crownclothing.com, but you can replace this with your Netlify URL. None of it matters for the point of this example, but the main idea is that you're trying to access some website that is now live and hosted by Netlify. So when the user tries to access this base route of crownclothing.com, what happens is that this browser actually makes a request to Netlify's web server that's hosting our build script. So our website is deployed, yes, but this access and these files still live on some web server somewhere, which is being provided by Netlify. So this user is going to say, hey, I want to request any resources for this slash endpoint. What happens here is that Netlify web server is like, hey, do I have anything for that slash endpoint? Yes, I do. I'm going to send back the index.html. Now, this index.html file is going to represent the built version of our website, because on this HTML will be the JavaScript tags and the CSS tags. That is the built version of also our React code, our style components code. All of our code is now living inside of this index.html file. So what will happen is that the website will take these files and it will start building out the website. So at this point, what will happen is the JavaScript now loads onto the page. The JavaScript includes all of the React code that we've written, as well as all of the libraries we're leveraging. So at this point, what happens, JavaScript contains React, React Router DOM, everything that we've built throughout these lessons. Using this, it will look at the website and say, oh, what do I need to match? Remember, this is a single page application, which means that it's building out all of these different pages that live on these routes, which is what our router is doing in React Router DOM. So it sees, oh, I'm on the base route. What base elements do I need to build? In our particular case, we know we need to build a directory. So the corresponding HTML, CSS, and JavaScript for that page gets built, and that is what gets used to populate that page. Now, let's say the user already has our JavaScript code now. What happens when they navigate further to shop jackets is that our JavaScript code, which contains our React Router DOM code and all the code to configure what routes get what components, will see, oh, this user is now trying to access /shop/jackets. There is going to be some route matching that happens through the React Router DOM routes components that we've written. And then the corresponding element, which is the category element, is going to run. All of our context get pulled, all of our data comes in, and that in turn builds the correspondingly correct HTML and CSS files that need to be used in order to build that page. So this is really what's just happening from a single page application standpoint. But the key thing to remember is that at this point, the reason why this worked is because we were asking for the slash endpoint. Our Netlify web server understands, oh, whenever anyone tries to access the slash endpoint, send back the index.html. And then the index.html and the corresponding JavaScript, React, and React Router DOM code that's in there is going to be the resource that will take over any additional routing that happens on the browser. Because at that point, there's no more need to communicate with the web server for more resources unless required. The main thing is that now all of our routing is handled on the front end by our single page application. However, if when starting, the very first request you make for is instead for /shop/jackets, this point Netlify web server does not have anything to serve for that route because we expect our front end application to be the one that actually builds out the page. Before single page applications were a thing, a web server would essentially have all of the different pages for every one of these endpoints. So then when a user requests for it, it would send them back the web page. We're not doing that anymore. You can do that with server-side rendering, but our application is a single page application, so that does not happen. Instead, what happens is that Netlify web server is like, oh, I got no resource for this shop jackets, which is why we end up seeing that error where there is no page found. In order to fix this, what we need to do is we need to say, oh, whenever you request for a resource for any endpoint at all, always send back index.html. So on this initial request, whenever they try to access anything, we send back index.html. Index.html will render our React code. And from that React code, we're going to then be able to determine, oh, from this route, show this page. So that's really why all of this is happening. And we can solve this really easily by creating a redirects file. Now back inside our application. In order to build this redirects file, we need to go into our public folder and make a new file called _redirects. This _redirects file is specifically for Netlify. It tells Netlify, if you ever get any route requests, I want you to redirect to this other route and with a specific status. So for us, we want to match any route at all, which is what this /wildcard is going to represent. If we remember inside of our own routing, we've seen this wildcard before. This just means match any route at all that follows /. What you want to redirect towards is index.html. So here we're saying, hey, if you get a request for /anything, redirect them to index.html, which in turn will send them index.html. And then just return a status of 200. That's it. Save this file, go back to your terminal, and just add this and make a commit. Because as I mentioned before, we've set up our GitHub repo now to be connected to our Netlify. So as long as we make a push request, adding redirect for Netlify, and we push this up, Netlify, when you go back to your Netlify instance, you should see that your Netlify is rebuilding. So through this rebuild, as I mentioned, we're connected now. So this is one of the great advantages. Through simply pushing to GitHub, we are rebuilding our website. And now we just wait for the build to finish, and then we can recheck and see if we fix the error. So there, we've just published live. And now if we go back to this website, and let's navigate deep into Jackets again, if I refresh, there we go. We don't get the 404 anymore. And the reason for this now is that when Netlify receives that request for shop-jackets, it's still just going to send index.html, which is going to build out our website and rely on the single page application nature to fix everything. That's it. Our website is now fully deployed and live. And any further changes you make, as long as you push to the correct GitHub repository branch that is building towards your website, you have a easy to update website that you can really quickly maintain and really quickly deploy changes to. This is an end-to-end process that we now have built in. So that's it. This is as far as the base library of React goes, and 90% of the patterns that you're going to use on the day-to-day when it comes to building React applications in exclusively the React library. What we're going to learn next is going to be some additional, I want to call them tangential libraries or patterns that exist in the greater React ecosystem. This is where you're going to learn about things like TypeScript integrations, things such as Redux and state management. Within that state management, we're also going to learn things such as side effect event handling with things such as thunks and sagas. And then beyond that, there will be topics on testing, different things around existing React libraries that kind of make building React applications a little different. We're going to talk about integrating with tools like GraphQL. In general, it's just now from this point forward, a lot more of the potentially optional parts of the React ecosystem, where depending on the company you work at, you may or may not use these patterns at large, but a lot of the times, you're probably going to encounter them at one of these companies. You're definitely going to encounter one of these optional, perhaps I want to call them, libraries and patterns, because a lot of the companies are shifting towards these solutions at scale. So it's still very important, and I do want to equip you with that knowledge. So that is what you can look forward to in the upcoming sections. But as far as the base React library goes, building our capstone project, deploying it live, and then seeing and interacting with it, this is it. Thank you, everybody. I'll see you in the next section.